that will lead us into the week that was in the IPL. We've seen an unbelievable run from Kolkata Knight Riders. I think when they finished up in India, they had 2 wins under the belt before the tournament got postponed. They were in 7th place, and lo and behold, they'll be playing for an IPL title tomorrow night. They'll go up against the Chennai Super Kings. It'll be 2nd versus 4th. We will preview that in just a minute. But let's cast our minds back to last week. Kolkata weren't even assured of a place in the playoffs, let alone going to the final when we spoke last week. They had to beat Rajasthan Royals, and they did so convincingly, smashing them by 86 runs. Shubman Gill, 56, the best of the bats there. And Shivam Mavi, keep an eye on him, 4 for 21 for the young quick. And something that was a little bit of an oversight for us last week, we said Mumbai couldn't make it. There was a chance. It was a very, very slim chance. They needed to win by just a measly 170 runs or so to overtake Kolkata on net run rate. They had to bat first. That was the only way that it could have happened. They won the toss, and everyone just got a license to go mad, and then they did. Ishan Kishan, 84 of 32. That is striking the ball at 262. And Surya Kumar Yadav, 82 of 40, striking at 205. They made a whopping 235, which actually set up the opportunity, albeit a very slim one, to try and sneak past Kolkata into the top 4. Unfortunately, for the Indians, the opposition was able to make a total that far exceeded the net run rate that they would have needed. So it's very interesting that the 5-time champions, Mumbai Indians, they obviously missed out on the playoffs, and it's only the 2nd time they've missed out since 2009. 5-time champions, absolute juggernauts, and were highly favoured going into the tournament. Boys, what do we make of that?
Yeah, just want to go back to your point on the Knight Riders. They won, since the restart, 7 of 9, and have won 4 straight as well going into the final. So they're on a bit of a roll, as you mentioned. But the Mumbai Indians, I think, don't want to say it's great for the IPL, but hey, you've got someone else. You got the 4 other teams making it into the playoffs. You don't have the usual regulars. I don't want to call them the Melbourne Storm of IPL. Because no one else will get that reference but Australians.
I'm sure none of our Indian listeners will pick up on that one, but Aussie listeners will surely understand.
But, a team that's been there, they're always there. They're the team everyone loves to hate, or hates, doesn't love. Either way. But the sick of the Mumbai Indians being in there. They want someone else to win the comp. We, of course, were hoping it was going to be the Capitals. But, that hasn't happened. But maybe, hey, get on the Knight Riders and sneak from 4th to win would be pretty impressive.
It's actually kind of impressive that they were able to get such a high score there as well, because a lot of the matches have been pretty low. Do you reckon that leads on to, I suppose, next year changing the way they look at matches and I guess how aggressive they are with attacking?
Apples and oranges here. I think maybe against a better bowling lineup and guys that have got something to play for, it might be a different story. And also, there's been marked differences between the deck at Sharjah and the decks at Dubai and Abu Dhabi. For some reason, Sharjah is just full of landmines and no one can really bat on it. And the other 2 decks seem to be pretty good. But yeah, it's an interesting one with the juggernaut that is the Indians missing out. Alas, let's go back to those Delhi Capitals. Obviously, we've sort of all become de facto fans of them. Their social media team reaching out to us, a small podcast just in our beginnings. So we're obviously very fond of them. They played the Chennai Super Kings in the qualifier 1, winner straight through to the final, so essentially a semi-final. Delhi batted first and made 5 for 172. Prithvi Shaw 60 and Rishabh Pant 51. Then a peculiar decision for Akshar Patel to bat 4. He sort of struggled. I think he had about 10 off 11. And it was good to see Josh Hazlewood in action for the Super Kings for us Aussie fans. He had 2 for 29 off his 4 overs. Now, boys, let's enter the breakout player of the tournament, Ruturaj Gaikwad. He had another great game. He made 70 off 50, and it was that man, Akshar, who failed to impress with the bat, who actually had a very impressive catch to dismiss him. He's the second highest run scorer in the competition and will play in the final tomorrow night. Has a chance to overtake KL Rahul to have the most runs in the tournament. And our mate, Lord Shardul Thakur, he got promoted up the order. The boys had obviously seen what he was able to do against the English bowling lineup in the recent Test series, and he got a golden quacker. So obviously he needed a few more English boys to slap around the park. It was old head, actually, Robin Udhapa, 63 or 44, that were getting CSK really close. And then this one really went down to the wire. Enter MS Dhoni, 40 years old, hero in India, probably let's say third only in names to guys like Kohli and Tendulkar in Indian cricket folklore / religion. And he had a very ordinary tournament so far, and he just goes, oh, hang on, time machine, let's enter 2012 MS Dhoni, 18 of 6 to get them home. He slapped around Tom Curran, who was a little bit of a speculator, that one. Kasigo Rabada had an over in hand there, and that got the Super Kings straight through to the final, and it meant that the Capitals had to go the long way through Royal Challengers Bangalore. So quite disappointing, I guess, for the Capitals to go to this knockout game. Did you boys have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, and go back to your Patel point a little bit. I'd be interested to see maybe what Ricky's thinking was a little bit in this as well. Of course, we'll show some Australian bias here and say, well, why is like Steve Smith not batting?
He wasn't picked in this
exactly.
one.
And that team, looking at the team that they picked, was a bit bowler heavy, and Patel's kind of the ended up being the all rounder in that sense here, but maybe not really. I wouldn't consider him a super, as a specialist all rounder. He's a spin bowler that can throw the bat around a little bit. So I wonder if they went a little bit light on bats for this pitch, and maybe that hurt him. I'd be interested to, we'd have to pick Ricky's brain to get an understanding of what the kind of thoughts there. But just doing a quick double check of that, and like you said before, Rabana not getting that last over. Again, another question mark you got to, because he was really good in their game last night where they lost as well. He had a great economy and got 2 wickets. So, interesting.
It's fitting, and it really encapsulates this podcast. 3 beer enthusiasts that have never gone past about 3rd grade in cricket, questioning the mind of one of the greatest cricketers ever in Ricky Ponting. But it did seem a little bit peculiar. A few of those coaching / captain's decisions as well. Rishabh Pant would have been involved in some of, especially giving the ball to Tom Curran. But Akshar Patel batting 4 when you've got Pant and Shimron Hetmeyer, one of the cleanest strikers of the ball in the world. Quite peculiar and a head scratcher for Delhi Capitals fans.
What happened in the Eliminator?
So Eliminator, after 50-something games of IPL cricket in a extended season because of COVID, we had the first elimination game a few nights ago, that between Royal Challengers Bangalore and the hot streak Kolkata Knight Riders in Sharjah. We did mention that Sharjah is a different venue. Virat Kohli had a 39 and Devdutt Padikkal 21. Got Bangalore off to a reasonable start. But this deck, in combination with this man, Sunil Narine, he had 4 for 21. And 4 for 21 doesn't matter who you're getting out. If you're getting park cricketers out and you finish up with 4 for 21, that's impressive. When your victim list is Kohli, Bharat, De Villiers, and Maxwell, that's just about, 3 obviously world-class superstars, and Bharat has shown a little bit in the IPL here. Sunil Narine, one of the form bowlers in the competition. Glenn Maxwell, he only managed 15. It was actually his first score of less than 40 in 6 games. He had played the spinners very well. He had the most sixes hit off spin bowling in this tournament by a long way, but Narine got him undone there. He was actually on social media. There was a lot of carry on, I think, in the comments, as there always is. Bangalore are chokers. They can't go far. They've got all the talent. Virat Kohli's never captained them to an IPL win, and he posted something out there to all the trolls, and essentially the sentiment was, be nice to people. It's not that hard. And given the current world that we live in, your team not making the finals probably pretty low on the priority list, I would have thought. So good on you, Glenn Maxwell. We obviously love you as Aussies, and we've got big expectations for him going into the World Cup because his shoulders will really need to get some work carrying our Australian team. Anyways, they made 138. I think that's about a par score there at Sharjah. We saw another great run chase and a team effort from the Knight Riders. Shubman Gill, Venkatesh Iyer, Nitish Rana, and that man Sunil Nareen, he can bat a bit as well, all had 20 plus. And Dan Christian, the Aussie, he got the ball for RCB in the last over, but it was Shakib Al Hassan who hit the winning runs out there. And the Knight Riders go through, and I suppose a disappointing finish to the year for RCB, who on paper are arguably the best side in the IPL. Boys, what were our thoughts there? Bangalore bowing out in the first eliminator.
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with everyone going after Kohli yet again. Like, what has Kohli not done? No, what is he doing? He's still up there as one of the most quality bats, and he's still putting up runs. He just hasn't, well, they didn't get the win in England because of other circumstances. Who cares about that? That'll have to sort itself out at some point. But yeah, not winning it here with a very stacked roster. That happens. Nobody will come back next year. They've just come running into a team. The Knight Riders had a excellent run of form, and I was just having a look at their team list as well. People forget that Paddy Cummins is meant to be in this team, but of course didn't travel because he's here at the moment getting ready for Ashes. So
just had a baby. Shout out to Mrs. Cummins. Just had a baby boy this week. Albie, I believe, courtesy of my wife on the info there. But yeah, always the big names are going to cop it, aren't they? Virat actually made the most runs in this game. I don't know what more he's meant to do in this particular game. And of course, it's always going to be a beat up, isn't it? The Indian media likes to sacrifice their own, just like the Australian media likes to do. And there was a guy by the name of AB de Villiers, one of the best T20 bats of all time, who really failed to contribute the whole tournament. Again, not up to speed with the South African media, but can't imagine he was facing the same kind of scrutiny that guys like Kohli and Maxwell were. But I suppose a disappointing season on the whole for Bangalore, who were really touted to go far.
Yeah, I think they started off very slow as well, didn't they? They were kind of 500, just middle of the pack, and did enough to get into the playoffs. But yeah, they should have been better. You'd think more dominant.
Yeah. Let's move forward into the second qualifier, which becomes eliminated 2, if you will. That being between Delhi Capitals and the red-hot Kolkata Knight Riders. This was a really awesome game. This was last night. I was scheduled to be on the watch party, but unfortunately a bit of life got in the way, boys. I'm sure everyone can relate to that. The big news for Australian fans was Marcus Stoinis into the side in place for Tom Curran. He got that last over, and he got sacrificed, unfortunately, the poor bloke, to make way for the big Stoin. And the Capitals actually got off to a pretty good start here. Prithvi Shaw was looking his normal best until he copped a nice googly from Varun Chakravarthi to go for 18. That saw big Marcus Stoinis come in at 3. And to be honest, he didn't look like himself at all, boys. He looks like he's still, this hamstring injury is still playing some kind of influence in the way that he could open up and strike the ball. He had just a lackluster 18 of 23. Shikhar Dhawan and Shreyas Iyer had 30-odd each, but they just got to 5 for 135. Surprisingly, that man Sunil Nareen didn't take a wicket. I think he had 3 man of the match performances leading into this game, still bowled very tidily. And the leggy Varun Chakravarthi, 2 for 26, the best of the bowlers for the Knight Riders. And then this looked like it was sealed, stamped, delivered after about 10 overs, with Shubman Gill and Venkatesh Iyer getting KKR off to an excellent start. They looked like they were going to cruise to victory. They needed 13 runs off the last 4 overs with wickets in hand. Boys, this was one of the most entertaining finishes you'll ever see in T20 cricket. After Shubman Gill snicked up, I think they lost 6 for 7, including the Gill wicket, and they had 4 consecutive ducks, 4 Dinesh Karthik bowled by Rabada. Owen Morgan chopped off Nordica. A little bit unlucky. They needed just 7 off the last over from Ravi Ashwin. Shakib Al Hassan, plum LBW. And then Sunil Nareen came to 6 runs required off 2 balls. All the momentum going in the favour of our Delhi Capitals. And then lo and behold, Rahul Tripathi, doesn't matter. All his partners have fallen like flies around him. He's facing a hat-trick ball from Ravi Ashwin, and he launches in for 6 to absolutely break the hearts of the Delhi Capitals fans. And we would have seen jubilation in Kolkata. The Knight Riders, an unbelievable run to being 7th place at the midway point of the year when the tournament got postponed into the final. Heartbreak for Delhi Capitals fans. Boys, what did we make of that?
I think you couldn't sum it up any better, Peps. An absolute roller coaster of a game, definitely towards the end. That's why you live for that T20 format, that chase right there goes down to the dying balls, the dying overs. And yeah, hitting a hat-trick ball for 6 to get you guys the win. You can't really top that. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, shout out to Tripathi. Maybe went under the radar for Shout a Beer this week. That is cojones of steel. We'll go out there, facing the hat-trick ball, 6 off 2 required, and go, don't worry about the next ball. Let's settle this right now. So yeah, Delhi, they were so close but so far in both these elimination games. And look, we've been treated to some really good elimination cricket. So if the final's anything to go, or if these playoffs are any indication of as the final might go, we were in for a real treat. That said, let's have a look at it. Tomorrow night, our time, it's quite late. I think it's 1 a.m. Saturday morning for us down here, down under. That'll be prime time in India and early afternoon in the Emirates. The second place, Chennai Super Kings take on the 4th place, Kolkata Knight Riders. Will it be the long-time powerhouse and 3-time champs in the Super Kings? They're very good with the bat. They've got that young superstar, the breakout player of the tournament in Ruturaj Gaikwad, to go along with some really good seasoned old heads in Faf du Plessis, Ambati Rayudu, and a really strong middle order with the likes of Moeen Ali, MS Dhoni, and Jadu Ravi Jadeja. And then we spoke before at length about how good Sunil Nareen's been. He forms an excellent spin combination with Varun Chakravarti and Shakib Al Hassan. The Knight Riders have won the comp twice. They've got all the momentum. How do we see this playing out? Monks, if you wouldn't mind just bringing up the odds. And Sean, can I get your thoughts while he does that?
It's hard to say because when the Super Kings haven't played for a week. And
5 days, I think.
5 days, yeah. And in that time frame, the Knight Riders have played an extra 2 games. So
So both elimination wins.
Yeah, exactly. So they're momentum, form, etc. You could throw out that, or maybe they've played their final 1 week early, whatever. You can put all the sports psychology in there if you want. But when it comes down to it, it's a coin toss for me. And at this point, let's back the Knight Riders. That's where I'm going. Let's follow them in from the unreal form, the way they've been playing. I'm going to ride the momentum, ride that wave, and they'll come out here and shock the Super Kings. That's what I'm thinking.
I like that. A true Cinderella story, back in the team that's come from nowhere with a bit of momentum. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go the Super Kings to put an end to the Cinderella story. I just think their batting stocks are too strong, and that middle order with those old heads are too good. But again, like you say, flip of a coin. I like that analogy. It's a game of cricket, and cricket can, out of any sport really, is one of those ones that can go either way. This one away from Sharjah, so I think that gives a little bit of advantage more to the team with the stronger bats. Had this final been in Sharjah, and we've seen what Nareen and co have done there, maybe this would swing me towards the Knight Riders. But I'm going to go the Chennai Super Kings to win their 4th IPL tournament. Monks, you've got the casting vote here, and the odds, I imagine they're pretty close. Let us know what you got.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, yeah, Sean summed it up perfectly. It is a coin flip. Yeah, so $1.90 each way.
Oh.
Super Kings and riders. I like Sean's sentiment. I've gone Knight Riders. I think they've got a bit of momentum behind them. Hopefully that works in their favour. That being said, Garquard is favourite to be top run scorer at $3.30. Is just pipping Gill at $3.40 for the Knight Riders. Yeah, outside of that, everything looks very, very even.
Let's look. We don't really have a dog in the fight, aside from our pride with those tips. Let's just hope for a nice, entertaining final, as we've seen in these playoff games, hey?
Yeah, definitely.